This episode is sponsored by FX's Kindred, the original series only on Hulu. Based on Octavia E. Butler's best-selling novel, FX's Kindred centers on Dana James, a young Black woman and aspiring writer. Dana begins to settle into her new home in Los Angeles and is violently pulled back and forth in time. She emerges at a 19th century plantation and is confronted with secrets she never knew ran through her blood. FX's Kindred, all episodes now streaming only on Hulu.
This episode is brought to you by Carvana. Let's say you need a new car. Well, a new used car. Now this is my groove car. A U car. Now, what if you could seal the deal and order it to your door 100% online? Buyer's remorse? No such thing. Take a week to love it or return it. Sound good? Carvana. They'll drive you happy. Availability may vary by market. Visit Carvana.com or download the app.
BooBaes. BooBaes.
Hey, welcome.
Hi and welcome, you guys.
My name is Caitlin,
And my name is Joshua.
and we are
BooBaes.
you're BooBaes.
So excited.
Little.
I was just saying that last night. Oh my God,
I
that
was
is
there in
hilarious.
spirit.
Little. Yeah, we're here to talk about some scary movies.
We are.
Mhm.
So kind of going off of last week's,
Mhm.
I went to New York this past week, which was super fun. Honestly, really stressful, but
But fun.
it was still fun. Yeah. Just fucking subways, man.
I really want to ride a subway
No, like it's fun, but navigating them
Oh.
when you're not
from there.
is hard
Ooh.
because there's like 3 trains and you got to like figure out which one you're supposed to be on.
See,
One
like-
is heading one way, one's heading the other, and
You've
you
already
get on the
lost me.
wrong one and you are like fucking 40 blocks away from where you're supposed to be.
That
and it's just like,
sucks.
so that's stressful.
Yeah.
But I did get to go. I went with my mom and she found this tour in which we got to tour the like OG or the original like Catholic fucking Basilica Church thing in New York. Like it was the original one.
Yes.
And maybe
Wait, from where?
possibly in America though.
Okay.
I don't know. Anyways, it had catacombs underneath though.
What?
Yeah. And so
Ah,
I
so
was
you're
like, I
just
got to
talking
go into
about-
catacombs and I was like,
As
I
above,
was like,
so
damn,
below.
I kind of wish it could have been then. But so this graveyard, okay, first off, I didn't know there was a difference between a graveyard and a cemetery. I just thought it was like a preference, like pecan or pecan.
Oh, well, please enlighten me because I don't know the difference either.
So a cemetery is next to a church
Oh.
and is a part of it. And then a graveyard is, wait, no, that's different. Graveyard. Fuck, I got it backwards. I
Okay.
don't know. I clearly learned so much. No, okay, the graveyard is connected to a church. A
Okay.
cemetery is just, I think, fuck, man, I might have it wrong.
No, that sounds right.
Anyways,
though.
one is connected to a church, one is not.
Well, because I know a cemetery where someone is, and it's called a cemetery, and it's not connected to a church.
Okay, great.
So that makes sense.
So then the graveyard, yeah, is connected to a church.
Interesting.
And so this one, it was not a large plot of land. Like,
Yeah.
you know, like New York. It was in fucking Soho,
Yeah.
Little Italy. Like,
It's like a 3x4, like little. They're just
Yeah.
all stacked on top of each other under there.
yes.
Yes.
So, okay, it had a graveyard on one side and a cemetery on the other because the church was like built after the south side.
Mm.
So that cemetery was already erected. It was already there.
Gotcha.
Um,
The church was like, we did
and then the
this.
church, was built next to it. So the south side of it, it's called a cemetery, and then the north side was a graveyard. But in this little plot of land that's like literally, I mean, the church was maybe the size of this building with like
Yeah.
with a little bit of plot
But
of
like
land on either
tall,
side.
right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, huge.
yeah.
4,000 bodies
Oh
were
my
buried in
God.
the two tiny little spots of land. And so there were graves that were I mean, they were erected before like 1870s and stuff because they were there originally. The tombstones were like halfway into the ground.
Ooh.
They were like paper thin, you know, because they'd gotten all torn down. And then most of them couldn't afford. So that area is where all of the, during the Irish potato famine and stuff, a lot of the Irish people came over, and the Irish Catholics came to that area, and it was called like the Irish ghetto. And so these people were like so fucking poor that they couldn't even afford.
They died from poverty. Yeah.
Yeah. And they couldn't even afford like a wood marker. Like their bodies were just literally buried there. And he said some were buried flat, some were buried like it's like they played fucking Tetris with their bodies. Some were buried straight up, and
some
they
were
just
dismembered.
Yeah, they just fucking had to do that. And then
18th century, man.
Then there's like in 1870 or something, they had to pass a law because that no one could be buried in the ground in Manhattan, and that law is still in place today because it was affecting the water supply. And so people were getting cholera and stuff from all the rainwater going down through these mass graves. Yep. And so unless you were one of the rich people who could afford, because most of their water now comes straight from the Catskills Mountains, which is neat because of the Crown of Catskills, which is a haunted artifact, cursed object.
That's cool.
It's really cool. Anyways, all that water comes straight from the mountains. Like their tap water is fucking bomb. I was like, I mean, that's all I drink anyways, because fuck it. But their tap water, I was like, damn, this shit's good. And it was because it was all spring water.
Literally straight from the hills, from the mountains.
And so until they could get everyone connected to that safe water supply, no one could be buried there, which I thought was cool. And then they just kind of never got rid of that law.
I'm interested in the catacombs. Like, how did it look? Like when you were down there, did it look like how does that look?
So it definitely doesn't have like
Paris catacomb vibes.
Yeah, there's no like skulls on the wall. But because there's most churches have a sort of like catacomb, like tombs and stuff underneath it, where like the bishops and stuff like that can be buried. Most Catholic churches and like your ancient ones, like because I'm pretty sure I've been to one in Scotland that had catacombs underneath it as well, where the people are buried. And so yeah, like the head honcho, he was buried there until they erected the new bigger church because, well, they quite literally outgrew that church like so fast. And so that one was like, actually it's on 5th Street. So they have 2 St. Patrick's cathedrals, which is confusing. But this one's the Basilica, because then afterwards it was a mess. Yeah. But you go down in there, and so you can see where his tomb used to be. Essentially, it was just, I have pictures, which I can show you.
And then, so it was moved. So they like exhumed it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, and they put him elsewhere. So it was it just looked like this.
Oh.
Underground. And so each of these little doors.
That is a really cool picture, actually, by the way, too. But yeah,
that's cool. The front of the church.
I like the way that looks. It gives me very like, it would be like a scene out of American Horror Story.
Yeah. And it was like, everything was really only illuminated by these exit signs. Yeah. And then that was the open door to the like outer area. Oh, this was some rich guy's tomb. Dude, he was fucking loaded. And his buddy, he was friends with Thomas Edison. So Thomas Edison like, put all these light bulbs and shit in here for him. And he was like, yeah, he bought, so each of these catacombs, each of these little fucking tiny doorways.
Yeah. It's a body.
12 bodies.
12 bodies.
They fit.
On the 12th day of Christmas.
You get Uncle Billy. But they're all, so there's enough room for you to essentially, if you were to remove that giant plaster thing, you go down like 3 steps, and then there's a little tiny hallway, and then on either side is enough room to stack 6 caskets.
And
so you just
caskets.
Fit,
okay.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
And you just fit.
It's the way I want it to just be boned so bad.
Yeah, just thrown in, just a big old pile. But the homeboy was like so fucking rich or whatever, and he wanted a large, luxurious area that was heated, cooled,
beautiful,
and lit. And like, why do you need a light bulb when you're dead?
And heated and cooled, you're dead.
Yeah, exactly. It don't matter. But so he bought 4 of them.
Oh, wow.
So that's why it's so big. Yeah, this is the size of 4. And so each of these was like a dead body. And then the tile on the ceiling was just fucking gorgeous.
It's beautiful. The pattern, like, It's
That's my little.
beautiful.
Oh, they gave us this little
Aw.
candle. Oh, I took so many
It's like
photos
a
of the tile.
electronic fake candle.
Yeah, because okay, so the church also had a massive fire at one point, and so they're like,
No
absolutely the
flame.
fuck not, you're not bringing flames in here. But yeah, like that was some of their tombstones and shit, and that was the original entrance to the catacombs.
That looks cool.
That was creepy. We rounded the corner and there was a fucking Jesus on a cross, and it was like
the way he's posing though.
it was creepy.
It's not even like the usual regular pose.
I know,
It's
he
like
had fallen
he's
off.
dabbing. He's literally dabbing on the
dabbing
cross.
Jesus. Cute. But yeah, it was inside this gorgeous church and stuff, and then where's the so these just some dead people.
That
It was
is
low light at this point.
Freaking cool.
But here, where was it? It's this first one here. You can see how. Look at those tombstones. They're like
Yeah.
the ground is just grown up around them. Isn't that insane? I'll have to
That's
post some of these
ridiculous. Yeah.
pictures for y'all to see.
We'll put it on the story or something.
But it was super cool. It was a super fun tour. Very, very informative. But I thought it was just super fitting that I got to go into some catacombs right after
that
we
timed out
covered
really perfectly.
As Above, So Below. So it did give me a little bit like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Like, am I
The
going to die?
heebie-jeebies?
Yeah. Because there were some like wood planks on the ground and shit in some areas where I guess
Yeah.
I don't know what the fuck was happening with the floor.
Imagine being there like overnight, nobody else is there.
Yeah, no.
Scary.
Because it was just kind of like my mom and everyone went right, and then my mom's like, "Which way do you want to go?" So we went left.
Y'all are
and
dead.
We we were kind of alone because there was 3 corridors,
Yeah.
so 3 each long ways. Everyone went right first because that rich dude, his tomb is on that way.
Okay.
But then there was some Roman Catholic dude over
Mhm.
here that I wanted to see,
Yeah.
and no, he wasn't Roman. He was Russian
Such
Catholic.
a contrarian you are.
Yeah, and so we went to go see his tomb. And I was like, oh, fuck, that's that dude. And then I kept like being like, oh, shit. And then I was like, fuck, I'm in a church. Like, I'm just sitting here screaming obscenities. Oh, well.
That's okay.
But yeah, it was a good
You're
time.
forgiven.
Thank you, Jesus.
I love that. I love that she had a good time. I kept watching your stories. Everything looks super cool.
It was.
I've always wanted to go to New York, so
It was.
one day, next
it
year,
was
hopefully.
fun. Next
We'll see.
year.
Yeah.
Do it. Let's
Put it
all
on
go.
there. Mm-hmm.
I need to go back and get a tattoo that I paid for 2 years ago.
Mm.
I just couldn't afford it this time. So I was like,
Yeah.
ooh, we're not going to mention that.
Not to mom. All right. Well,
Ate
yeah,
really good
guys.
pizza. Anyways, today.
I had pizza last night. It was
Yeah.
so good. Yeah.
What did I eat? Toast.
This last night or today?
Last night.
Oh, you poor thing. You were driving all night yesterday.
I was so sleepy.
Okay. So back to the movie. You guys, today we're going to be talking about
There's
that's
a
like
telephone.
yes.
Ring, ring.
Because it's Scream.
That's right. Ring,
we
ring,
go.
scream.
Hi, you guys. We're going to be talking about Scream.
Yay.
1996 film directed by Wes Craven and the original screenplay by Kevin Williamson.
So many little Easter eggs and little tidbits in this movie.
It's really cool.
Cool.
Because, like, yes, this movie it's so meta and, like,
so meta.
and on the joke and on itself.
Mhm.
And has so many references to like references that like of some of the films we've already covered. So
Mhm.
it's really really cool.
A lot of Wes Craven film.
Yes.
Like, I mean, obviously Freddy was
Craven.
pretty hardcore in there.
Yes.
And then
but
Carpenter.
also Carpenter, and then just like
a
all
little
the
bit
little
of Jason.
because even like
Psycho, my fave.
the rules that they come up with is
Mhm.
because of like what we've already seen with the horror genre.
Yeah.
You know, there's this guideline of like how to stay alive.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And be a boss ass bitch is one of them. She got them
Yeah.
final girl vibes. Before we get into it,
Yes.
I wanted to talk a little bit about the actual crimes that inspired
Yeah.
this
I'm-
film.
Do it.
So, he was known as the Gainesville Ripper.
Yeah.
In Florida.
Always
So,
Florida.
Yeah.
Always.
Why would you want to be from Florida?
Florida man stabs 10 people. Okay.
Yeah. His name was Daniel Harold Rowling, and he was alive from May 26, 1954, and then died October 25th of 2006. And he was known as the Gainesville Ripper. And he was an American serial killer who murdered 5 students in Gainesville, Florida over 4 days in late August of 1990. Rolling later confessed to raping several of his victims, committing a triple homicide in Shreveport, Louisiana, and attempting to murder his father in May of 1990.
Okay, Tom Riddle.
Yeah, and in total, Rolling confessed to killing 8 people, and he was sentenced to death for the 5 Gainesville murders in 1994, and he was executed by lethal injection in 2006.
Wow.
But so he was a big horror fan, which is why there's so many references to these other horror films, is because literally these murders, he was
like emulated what he had seen.
Yeah. And
That's
so
crazy. That's taking it a little bit too far.
And damn, he really, I mean, was a pretty terrible person. He mutilated his victims' bodies, decapitating one, and then posed them, and sometimes used mirrors to really like.
Oh, he's so creative.
Yeah.
But like death and murder.
And it's pretty sad. And again, they were all young people, and he broke into the apartment shared by 17-year-old freshman Sonia Larson.
She was such a promising young
Christina
woman.
Powell. And yep.
R.I.P.
Yeah, real nasty stuff that we don't have to get into, but that these were actually inspired by a real set of killings, and he was said to have been really influenced by horror films, and actually, Rolling has been subject to several written works. His crime spree inspired the screenwriter Kevin Williamson to pen the script of 1996 slasher film Scream. So. It really went in to inspire a lot, and it is the kind of main inspiration for this film.
Yeah. And then
which
also
is insane.
A tidbit on that as well. Kevin Williamson wrote this in like 3 days. Like
so much money.
Yeah. Literally he
3 days work, and he's just like boop.
What he did was he
so
was really inspired to want to make a scary movie because there was no, like, it had been kind of a dry spell for the horror genre, you know, since like, well, basically not necessarily a dry spell, but everything was really like the 8th or 5th or 4th sequel of already these lines of, you know, horror specialty. Yeah, of that we already had out.
Don't worry.
But I'm sure it's going to happen again. And so he wanted to write a scary movie, and actually the original working title for this movie and throughout the whole time it was being filmed was actually called Scary Movie. That was supposed to be the actual title of it.
Don't worry, we get that later.
We do. It all comes around. And so yeah, that's a crazy, like, the amount of effort, like, what it was is that he really, like, I watched an interview of his, and he went somewhere, like some cabin somewhere, and like literally was just like, I'm gonna like bust this hoe out. And,
I'm surprised he didn't get murdered then.
Right.
There's so many scary movies about writers going into cabins
literally
to get away to write, and then they end up
some
dying.
shit happens.
Maybe he was hoping for some real life experience to help fuel his writing.
Probably.
Damn, that's crazy. Man, could you imagine busting this out in 3 days? He did a great job.
Yeah, I mean, it's preface is like, this is one of my favorite like horror movies.
It's
like,
so good.
I love Scream.
There's like so many parts where I was just like, this is fucking brilliant.
Yeah. And I feel
brilliant.
like there's like a good split of like either a lot of people love it or a lot of people don't like it because it's almost like comedic for a horror movie, but that's the point.
Yeah.
It's in on itself. But it's smart about it. It's not it doesn't play to the joke. It knows that it's like making jokes about stuff like that. But in a not jokey way.
Yeah.
It's like,
and
it doesn't take itself too seriously.
Nothing, and none of the, because a lot of the times I feel like some of the deaths and stuff can get pretty cheesy and shit, but I didn't feel that way in here. Like, I felt like a lot of the times in horror films, like, it can be over, well, okay, the principal's death was a little comical.
But that's also because it's Fonzie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so just, I don't know.
Or
nothing
even
about
like
it.
Tatum's death is like a little like,
I fucking love that
yeah,
death though.
It's the best.
Like, why would you try to escape that way? I don't know. But
and that's why it's like, and how would that like, maybe like, I was thinking like gravity would like have you like slump out of that before you're all the way up there.
I also don't know if garage doors are like that strong.
Right. It would have been like,
yeah. But
oh, that sounded like a Martian from Mars Attack. And so,
I love that death though. I think it's my favorite one.
And it's
so good.
and it's like probably one of the most, if not the opening, but like one of the most memorable scenes of like
Oh,
a lot
yes.
of like of when people think of horror movies.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, so good. Anyways, to the opening scene.
To the opening scene, and this scene, oh my goodness. Well, and did you know that Drew Barrymore was actually a producer on the movie for this movie?
Oh, really?
Yeah, she somehow got involved with like I think what it was is like somehow she got contacted by, I guess, whatever those companies are, because they wanted her to play Sydney. They wanted her to be the starring role, you know, because they knew, like, I mean, she started her career in like horror genre films, and they wanted a big name to be associated with it. And so at first she was supposed to play Sydney, but as she was reading the script and everything, she decided that she didn't want her like big star name to be like the final girl. She said there's always a girl that just survives, and like we always have that, or know that safe and security that, well, she's gonna make it to the end. And so what she wanted to start the movie off with was like this blonde who's supposed to be like the, you know, what's the word, like the protagonist, but that word.
And she does a great job. She's not stupid either.
No, and she wanted it to start with like the girl dies. Like I want it to be like, no, this is brutal. We're already like all the rules are out. Like we're just starting this and like hitting the ground running with like my like Drew Barrymore dying. You know? And then they found Nev Campbell to play Sydney. And honestly, I can't think of anyone else playing Sydney.
Yeah.
Other than Nev Campbell.
She did such. Oh my god.
Like she's
Sydney. Such a fucking
boss ass bitch.
She's just so fucking hardcore the whole time, and I'm just like, yes, bitch, yes, get him.
Yeah.
Ugh.
It's the way that
love her.
Ghostface just like attacks her just to let her get away too, because it's almost like a cat. It's very cat and mouse. You know, which is also adds, which I love, because it's also like, it's like Sydney never catches a fucking break throughout this whole movie.
No.
And it's only because it literally happens in the course of like 2 days or something like that, a day and a night. So yeah, it's
all very quick.
Yeah, which I really love actually about it. And also that's something that I also like, for some reason growing up when I would watch it, I never really realized that like the party and all that, like this is all literally the same school day, the same, all happening in that same night. Like it's wild. I don't know. It's just like, it's cool to me.
It's also just wild. Like, I don't know, just the way school was operated back then.
Oh yeah, Tatum's outfits. Like I'm like
never
not
allowed. The principal. Okay, he at one point when Nev gets questioned. Yeah. When he grabs her face, I was like,
oh yeah, that was weird when they were in the
like
principal's
that?
office. Yeah, and we're about to get there.
And then he talks like over the loudspeaker. He's like, "I love you all," blah blah blah, and it's like, ew, no, that's fucking weird.
Oh, I had a principal like that, an intermediate, and his name was Mr. Something. I don't know if I should name people out. His name was something, and he had, oh my gosh, every morning, and it's funny because his voice was like really squeaky, so we would all be like cringing when we would have to hear him.
Stop.
Yes. And then they read out the lunch menu. Do you remember that? Did they do that at your school?
I think I do remember the lunch menu.
Today for lunch we'll have this option, that option, that option.
So then the whole day I'd just be thinking about chicken nuggets.
Fucking pizza for me, man. Pizza and getting a cookie cone.
Oh.
You have to pay extra for that.
I was like, I always had free lunch.
Yeah, and they were like $1 from they had like, because you know they're trying to make coin, they're trying to make money. They would have like little snacks over here that they would try to sell.
I think occasionally I would get $1 and bring it. Yeah, ice cream day. Like my mom would be like,
ice cream days when they would give you ice cream at lunch, and they're those little like Bluebell cups. Oh, I totally forgot about that. Okay, I'm gonna start crying.
We just love school lunch so much.
And so our opening scene, we start with the famous phone call. That Casey
and it wastes no
time.
Like so, there's just the movie starts. You get Scream on the screen, and it kind of double pans because it's like white and then it's red.
And then we're in.
And you're hearing screaming happening, and then it goes into the phone call. Yeah. It's so good. It's a really great, just simplistic opening. That's like.
And I think, too, like, at that point, I mean, nothing had really been. Well, I mean, yeah, sure. But it's the way that, like, the scene really carries a good level of suspense. Like,
oh, yeah.
Like, for what? It's like not even 10 minutes, you know? automatically you like get sucked into like, oh, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah.
Oh shit, like this is scary.
This is scurry.
The phone call is coming from inside the house. But it's not. And so yeah, we start with her. She gets a phone call, and it's like, who's this? And she's like, you
Bitch, you call me.
like, for real.
Who the fuck are you? I don't know.
For real. And I love that she's just like, because it's me, it's like automatically click, okay, bye,
Yeah,
whatever.
bye.
We ain't doing this.
I love when he calls back. What is it, probably the second or the third time, and I think it's the second time. And he's like, I just wanna talk to you. And she's like, there's a 900 number for that. I was like, hell yes.
The
It
sass.
cracks me up. And then she just hangs up. I was like, that's good. That's good.
And so we've got them. He's coming, and then what? Like a phone call later, he's like, I just want to know who I'm looking at.
Yeah,
Right.
and at this point, first we had already started dropping some of our horror movie references
That's
too.
right.
They're
Yeah.
talking about so Freddy's one of the first ones.
Obviously, because of Wes.
Yeah, and then we get the Michael references,
Mhm.
and because she says that he asks her, "What's your favorite scary movie?" And she says, "Halloween." Right? That's what she says.
Yeah.
And then she's talking to him about his, and he was like, "Is that the one with the knives for fingers?" And that's where we get Freddy Krueger reference. But yes,
So already early on, we're getting a universe that already knows what like horror movies have been.
Yeah.
And I like when movies do that, when it's not like a fake world. It's like, it's very like,
it's like this could be happening
Yeah.
next door.
yeah.
Could totally be a real thing. Yeah, exactly. And then the infamous, I want to know who I'm looking at. It's like, fuck.
Yeah. And then when he loses his shit, he's like, if you hang up on me again,
I'm gonna get you like a fish.
oh, that's like, and I love the voice that they give for Ghostface,
Mhm.
which I forget
Because
the
it's
actor's name, but
It doesn't sound like a distorted, like it just sounds like a person.
yeah,
And
a little menacing,
yeah,
a little
a little gravelly.
That's what I'm trying to get to. I was gonna say grit, but yeah, gravelly. There's like some, it's like a, not a rasp, but something like
And just deep and got a little bit of texture.
And I think it also gives it that like almost too, because a lot of it like at this point is like it's like behind the technology, because it's supposed to be like a voice, changer.
Voice changer.
So
yeah.
it gives it that like kind of like, it's almost like is and not a person.
Yeah, without it being like because on
too robotic or something like that.
yeah,
That's
and
the
when
thing.
they are on like forensic files or crime shows and they don't want to be seen, and then they have that major vocal distortion.
change, yeah.
Yeah,
And it's all
it's not
really
that
deep,
bad.
yeah.
Yeah, it's still like this could be someone's actual voice.
Yeah.
And well, it is.
Yeah.
But
Just distorted a little bit.
yeah,
By a little. I want one of those so bad.
well,
I want one.
let's
I need
find
to
you
find
one.
one.
We'll get you one.
And I want it to sound just like it.
Okay,
Probably won't,
Ghostface
Put it on the list.
vocal. Yeah, we'll find it.
Vocoder.
Grimace. And she's like, I'm gonna call the police, and I'm like, bitch, yes, fucking call the police.
For real.
Please hang up. Call the police.
That's harassment.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, poor girl too. Like,
I just
imagine
don't
you're home
understand.
alone. Like and it's the way that we know that she lived, like her house was like country-ish, I guess. Or
Yeah,
something,
it's a
'cause
little
there
bit further out.
so
He
you
says
can't
we're
get
in the
to
middle of
anybody.
nowhere.
Nowhere, yeah. And so,
Yeah, and I was like sitting there in my head. I was like, thank God I've got like neighbors on either side of me, because I do live alone
Yeah.
mostly. And so I was like, oh fuck.
they'll hear your screams.
Yeah, at least I'll be able to run away. Hopefully get some help. Hopefully I also just like don't get targeted and murdered, but I don't know.
Or just let it happen.
Anything's possible.
Just let it happen. Oh my God.
I've already had some weird shit happen on my back porch, so
and
it's fine.
so we have Ghostface over here.
Just keep your fucking doors locked too. I'm sorry,
and that
people.
too.
She's going through locking all of her doors,
They
and it's
should have
like
been locked already.
I just don't understand. How do people leave their doors unlocked?
I do better now. I
Yes,
will let
that's
you
right.
know that it's locked.
Okay, so whenever we leave anywhere, you let me know that you got home and that you locked your door.
I locked the door. I'm just gonna send you a little lock emoji.
Tink. I'm locked up. Good.
And so we got him just scaring the crap out of her and giving her basically a pop quiz
Yeah.
over horror movies for her life, for her boyfriend's life.
Yeah. And he also has the line. She's like, "What do you want?" And he's like, "To see what your insides look like."
Mhm. I really love the way like the writing is worked out here, because it really gives you a sense of like fear, especially for her being in her situation. Like if you were to put yourself in that situation, you're getting like barraged with phone calls by someone, and they're just talking about how they like, or one, they see you, they know where you're at, and they're gonna fucking murder
knowing
you.
that they're watching you, and then
and you don't know where that like how, where's that coming from?
Exactly. Because and then of course her whole window was like, or her whole house was windows, so it could have been literally anywhere, which is like,
Yes. And we can't forget, meanwhile, all the time, this popcorn's cooking in the background.
Yes.
I
which
love
it
those
really
little foil
adds,
pop-up ones. Yeah.
God, at one point, it's...
Because imagine the scene without the fire.
Yeah, no, I literally put popcorn being on fire creates a nice foggy atmosphere.
Yeah.
Like, it really sets the mood.
It really
it makes it more difficult for her to see. It makes you, like, kind of... Because then it makes it more difficult for you to see. So then we're ultimately being like...
And it adds to the panic. It adds to the, like, kind of chaos that's
happening.
Because
then the whole house could catch on fire. You never know, which is, it's terrifying. And we get, like, one of our first real meta moments when he's just like, haven't you ever seen a scary movie? And I was like, ooh.
I love it. And gives her a little trick question.
We've got, Steve, her boyfriend, all tied up.
It's at first the way she's like, I don't have a boyfriend, and then it's like, my boyfriend's gonna come and kick your ass.
He's a football player. He's big.
Yeah,
he wasn't really that big.
No, he wasn't. Poor Steve. And so we got Steve on the chair. He's all tied up, duct taped up. And it's the way she like wants to go outside, but then she's like,
he's like,
no,
I want to do that. Yeah. And then this is where they start playing the game.
Do you think though, like, would you have gone out still?
Probably.
I think I would have just done it. Like
if I mean, because I couldn't.
If I saw you tied up like that, like I feel like
I'm not gonna just be like on the phone, chilling.
I would run to you,
and
like
because then at least we're both like together.
Too. Or try to get you out.
There's something about being alone that's like, oh.
She didn't love Steve.
She didn't. She didn't give two shits about Steve. She let him get dead when she said the wrong answer.
Yeah, because he asked her who was the killer in Friday the 13th. And she says it was Jason. But it's like, nah, it was his mother, Mrs. Voorhees. Yes.
And he's like, anyone would know that. And then it's the way Steve got gutted so fucking fast.
Yeah.
Literally the light like flips off. Flips back on, and his insides are out, and I was like, "How did?"
And a lot of that
time?
Well, a lot of that decision, and then a decision that actually her body, whenever it's hung up from the tree, and we get a pan to it, like how it's very like
so good,
and the way that it's like, which I actually like that it's like this, but very fast and goes up to her. That and the scene where he gets slashed in his stomach, those were edited differently than they were originally filmed because of the. Back then the TV or not the film MA something like that.
In order to be in that specific
allowed. I mean, I don't think it was
to fit in its little.
I don't know
rating.
if it was rated R.
Yeah,
I don't think it was rated. I think it was rated R, but still they were like, no, that's too much. You have to pull back. Because
I mean,
it was
any body hanging is, I mean, it's very taboo. You got to be pretty careful about it. And man,
I mean, nowadays things are okay, but like back then,
yeah.
It was rated R. Yeah, and that's what it is, the MPAA rating.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And they like had to like go back and edit stuff and post production because they were like, no,
make it a little less gruesome.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I mean, her hanging up like that was
and her guts all hanging out. And the way it was shot was originally like go like a slow pan up to her and kind of like a.
You get to really observe.
Look at it. Yeah. Yeah.
I do like the fast motion. I thought it kind of added to the horror and the panic of everything. And just being like, oh shit, what's going on?
And
like,
it's the way like her mom screaming in the background.
Dude, can you imagine? Oh, it's so sad that she has to hear.
Hearing her daughter dying.
Yeah, having to hear her daughter dying and like not being able to do anything. Oh,
but that whole scene too of like her chasing him throughout or him chasing her throughout
the
house.
way he stalks her around is so funny.
Yes.
I was like, like he just looks so doom, 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 like clunky.
Yeah, very much like a Naruto run almost.
Yeah.
Like when he would go by. And then like whenever she's like crouched down on the front porch.
I love when she like punches him in the face too.
Yes.
That part was good. Oh, she almost gets away.
Almost.
She almost does.
Poor thing. And it's the way that like the parents' car is right there. You know what the thing is too is she's holding the phone and the parents are right on the porch. And my thought is always like, why didn't you throw the phone to
Throw
like,
something,
get attention?
yeah.
Like all you had to do was make one little thud for them to be like, what's
Because she couldn't
happening?
really scream because she'd
'Cause
been
she-
stabbed in the throat.
Yeah, and he had been
Choking her.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, her vocal cords all messed up. Yeah. Ugh. But ultimately she gets murdered. Her parents
Mhm.
here, we do get the real intense screaming of her mother being like,
Mhm.
my daughter, which is, it's so
Literally.
sad. And then
I live for it though.
yeah,
And then
it pans to
Yeah.
her body and then it cuts.
and
To
then we get
the-
into the movie.
Yeah, cuts to Sydney sitting in
Mhm.
her room typing away.
Oh, it's so 90s too, the
Mhm.
way the computer looks. Yeah. And so then we have of course what's our guy's name? Billy
Billy.
Loomis. Billy Loomis comes up through the window.
Who plays what? He plays something the like stepdad in Riverdale of Jughead.
Oh,
or
does he?
his actual dad?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's real cool because actually Skeet Ulrich and Nev Campbell right before this, they were both in The Craft. Because she was one of the witches and he was
That's right.
the boy that the main girl liked. He was her crush that gets tossed out the window by Faruka something, the actress's name, the crazy girl. But anyways, yeah. So
That is cool.
That's why I feel like they had good chemistry.
They'd already
together.
worked together before.
Mhm.
Damn. We get our next mention of the scary movie after Billy has popped up.
Yeah.
Very spookily. He was like, I was watching The Exorcist.
Yeah, I love it.
And I guess it
And it just
essentially
made
just
me-
made him horny.
Literally. And that's already like one of those like red flags right there, like the
It's
call.
like, what?
But I mean, yeah,
And he's like, I just want to do some on top of the clothes stuff. Like,
that's it.
and
It's a little skittle diddle.
it was so awkward. I don't know.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to break up with her. The
Yeah.
way that he was like phrasing everything at the beginning, he was like, we started out like hot and steamy.
And now we're
And-
just like something for TV, right?
Yeah, made for TV kind of
Mhm.
thing. And it really sounded like he was like not satisfied, which I guess
I mean, he's not.
not.
Yeah, but he's
Um,
also like planning to kill her. So.
Yeah. And so he just, I thought he was going to break up with her. And then, yeah, anyways, as he's leaving, we get our nice PG-13 relationship. Flashes her tibbies, but we don't see
Yeah.
because they had to keep it.
But
Keep
it
it
was rated
wholesome.
R, so I don't know.
Yeah, they
but
could've
because
shown
her character, yeah,
Yeah.
it doesn't align.
That
with
wouldn't
her.
make sense.
Yeah. And so we get now they're at school.
And they're
And
just
that's-
being hella chill
Yeah.
discussing it. Like Tatum's just like,
Oh yeah. Did you hear about Casey Becker and what did Jane?
get
Yeah.
it.
Get it. I love her. I
character is
love
so
her character.
fun.
I love
Yeah.
Rose McGowan playing that character.
She did a stand-up
Yeah.
job. Yeah, she was. Her character's so good the whole time. I love her. She was fucking badass.
She
was
was.
sassy as hell, and I loved it.
When she's punching the bunny.
Mhm.
I love it. And so yeah, we got to school. There's obviously all the news cameras and everybody's buzzing about this murder that happened to Casey. And then we get I guess most of our main cast all together at that fountain,
Mhm.
right? Yeah.
Well, and yeah,
Oh,
they
no,
had
before that.
asked her. They called her down.
The principal's office. That's right.
Yeah, she's
Yes.
sitting in English class where she said she sat next to her.
Yeah.
And so she looks over at the empty seat. And that's the way I started that Tatum also is like, she's like, I sat next to her in English class. And Tatum's like, well, not anymore.
Yeah. She's good comedic
Harmless.
relief. Yeah.
But so she's sitting there staring at the empty seat. She gets called down. And before she enters the room, they're like, yes, Sydney Prescott's the daughter of.
Mm-hmm.
And so you are already at this point kind of getting
Some like
something's happened to her
tidbits
previously.
of like, yeah.
But we don't know what yet.
Mm-hmm.
Not-
Well, and even right before that, it's the way Tatum was like, when talking to her about like, well, they're saying it's even worse than, well, you know,
And
than,
then,
like
yeah.
what happened,
And kind of trails off. Yeah.
because she's like doesn't want to mention her mother dying.
Sensitive subject.
Mhm.
And yes, but now we're at, and that's where he touches her face like that. And I was like, what the fuck?
Come on, Fonzie.
And they're sitting there at the fountain. Yeah. And already to me, Like Shaggy was awful sus. What's his name in here?
Stu.
Stu. That's right. STU.
Yeah.
Shaggy.
Stu. But
he was awful sus right there.
Yeah. The movie does. I mean, it's one of those whodunit. So the whole movie, you're already kind of like thinking, like, that was. Like,
it really
that was the
makes
one.
You think that everyone's
a suspect.
Yes,
just like Randy says.
Everyone's a suspect, and it does a good job of like
really keeping the illusion like that you don't know.
Yeah.
Which one of these people.
Like you kind of have an idea, and then then they even pull the double whammy on you that it's two people.
Which
makes
that's a
sense.
good twist because there's a lot of like things happening where one's somewhere and like a murder happens or know and that also helps to keep it like you don't know if it really is Billy or not because you do think it is, but then you're not sure.
Yeah.
And then it's not that it really gives. There's no really because the motive doesn't come in until the end.
Yeah.
But it doesn't give anybody a motive, but like everybody has these little moments like where it's dodgy. Where like, where were you?
Yeah.
Where were you? Like, what were you
doing?
This
could have been you.
Yeah. Where were you when this was happening?
Mm-hmm. And like Shaggy is already Stu. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No.
Is already there.
He's being a dick.
Yeah, he's being a dick. And then they're like, well, didn't she dump you for him?
Yeah.
And then he's like, and then fucking Tatum's like, I thought you dumped her for me.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yeah.
And
he's like potato tomato.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just don't ask me where that came from. I don't know what it is, but that's exactly what he's trying to say.
And the way he sticks his tongue out too, which it's very reminiscent for later for scary movie, but.
And then and then I let Liver Alone.
Liver Alone.
Liver Alone. Oh man,
it was so clever, so fucking clever. But then the way that they start discussing how to gut something, too,
true.
And Billy comes in, and it's just like,
you can tell though too that like I feel like Billy also like Stu's very like a blabber.
Yes.
And Stu is also like trying to like rein it in, like, but also still be his creepy, mysterious guy self. But yeah,
he's like, shut the fuck up, Stu. You're gonna give us away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, giving those vibes.
After this though, it pans to.
It's Sydney at home, right?
Yeah.
She's taking a nap. She's about to she falls asleep on the couch because she's waiting for Tatum or something, right?
Yeah, she's waiting for Tatum, and Tatum's supposed to pick her up after practice at 7.
That's right.
And she's flipping through the news. Can't escape that all of it is, of course, covering this mass murder double homicide that happened last night. And then it, of course, brings up
her mother.
And this is where we figure out what happened to her mother.
Maureen Prescott
said that she was raped and murdered just almost a year ago. And so, like, to me, fucking Sydney's staying like remarkably calm.
Oh yeah.
For the fact that she had such a traumatic
experience
event
only a year ago.
Yeah, happened to her. I'm just like, bitch, I would have been losing my fucking mind.
Literally.
And then, man, the way they fucking gaslight her and stuff too.
Oh.
And later on, and she's just like, I'm being selfish because of my, PTSD. And I'm like, bitch, no, the fuck you are not.
Yeah.
Like, freak out more, please. Oh my God.
Well, and the way that he's like, ever since your mom died, it's like, I mean, yeah.
And then he's like, you should be over that by now. He's like, when my mom left, like, bitch, that is not the same thing, which she does call him out on his shit there. But it's like, no.
And it's also too like,
no.
Yeah, it's not the same thing. And like, you murdered her.
Yeah. As it turns out,
you fucking murdered her.
You're the fucking reason this happened, and you're the fucking reason she's like this.
It's the way that also too.
No one gets over their parents being murdered. I don't care whether or not you liked them or not.
At the end too, I don't feel like she had. I mean, the movie's perfect, but like, I feel like the revelation of like her finding out like he was the one who did it. Like, I feel like there, like once again, like there's not like a big like a.
She just goes into like, well, fuck you mode, and it's like, I'm gonna fucking kill you.
Yeah.
She's like,
but it's not like
she turns it to, it's not hysterical. It's not a like
that's true.
Crying fit of rage.
But
she's
that's
just
with her growth too. At that point in the movie, it's just like she has been the mouse the whole time, and now she gets to be. That's when she gets to be the kid. But yeah,
it's
and
good.
So we get her, and she gets that phone call. This is her first interaction with Ghostface.
Wait.
Right.
Let's talk about when Tatum calls and wakes her up, and she's late already. And then Tatum goes, they didn't die until well after 10. You're fine.
Yeah.
Because it was like 7:30.
Yeah.
And I was like, Tatum.
Yeah.
And then she was like, I think I'm going to stop by the movie store too and get some Tom
movie.
Cruise films.
Oh, because if you speed it or freeze frame it, you see his.
You
penis.
can see his penis. And I was like, ew, why do you want to see Tom Cruise's
No.
penis?
It's not for me.
Ew.
Not the pink
Tom
penis.
Cruise. Gross.
Oh man.
But then, yes, the next phone call immediately after we get our first and iconic hello, Sydney.
Oh, Sydney.
That's
I can't
good.
do it, but
I loved
yeah.
it.
Oh
I was
man,
scared.
it's so. Ooh. Yeah. No. And she's just like, who is this, Randy?
It's the way here I put she's got them final girl vibes because like the way that she's again very meta. It's like
Yeah.
Well-
and that's when she's saying like, yeah.
I'm not gonna run up the stairs
Yeah,
with
it's
which
always
she
some
does
dumb
later, but
bimbo who runs up the stairs and
getting
like
the
never
boob
goes
shot.
out the door and like yeah.
she does try to go out the door.
She does
in
try
her
it.
defense,
Mhm.
but,
But it's the way that it's like she pulls it and it's just a chain though, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm like.
Yeah.
But you know what?
And
We're
when
not
you're
gonna go there.
panicking.
Yeah. Oh no, it's the way that I've like on normal days, like I'll be trying to open up my door, like my keys to my door, and like I drop them or I fiddle
Oh,
them,
yeah.
or I like
All the
and
time.
I always tell myself, I'm like, I'd be dead right now.
Uh-huh.
I'd be dead. I'd so be
That
dead.
one person who can't get in.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. But yeah. Oh God. And they brought up her mother on the
Yeah.
phone too. So this is where the first point where we get the possibility that these murders are connected.
They're related. Yeah.
And they say, because why did they bring her up? I forgot why they bring her up, but she goes out on the porch and she's like, what am I doing right now?
Yeah.
If you can see me, because they ask like, no, they didn't. He said, I'm on your front
Yeah.
porch. That's why she
Yeah.
went out there. And so she doesn't hesitate. She
Yeah.
just goes right out. And then she has she's picking her
her
nose.
nose.
And she's like,
What
am I
right
doing?
now?
Yeah. But she leaves that door open too long
Mhm.
too. And then of course, all these kids are like, once we got to Stu's house too, I was like, these kids are fucking yuppies. They are rich
Yeah.
as hell.
Mhm.
All of them live in like borderline
Well,
mansions.
Yeah, and her house was beautiful. Up on like
Yes.
the
You get to like
hillside.
overlook. I was like, what the
Yeah.
hell? She's walking up she got that beautiful fucking patio
Well, and I think,
porch.
they're in California, I believe.
Yeah, it looks
Yeah.
like she's overlooking wine country.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Definitely a nicer side
are
of the
well
train
off.
tracks.
Yeah.
Mhm. What's the way that this would only happen in a well-off neighborhood?
Yeah.
Literally.
They're all fucking weirdos.
Mm-hmm. This
These
is
suburban
Hewitt.
neighborhoods, we hate it. But so she leaves the door open for too long. She goes back in, locks the chain, and then
That chain.
he pops out, and
Yeah.
they're fighting, and it's the way she like punts his ass.
Oh yeah.
He's like on top of her, and she's like, "Doom!"
and he just
kicks
falls
him.
back.
I was like,
he does that a
"Hell
lot.
yeah."
The ghost face. It's the way that too. Like I want to know. Like that's definitely
Which one? That one
that's
had to
definitely
been Stu.
It's
Yeah.
definitely Stu.
Clumsy as fuck.
Yeah. And
And it was probably Billy on the phone.
that's
I feel
I
like.
never thought about it being too. I just thought it would. Yeah, you're right. I just thought it was Stu the whole time.
feel
but
like
it
one
was.
probably is
was
on the
calling,
phone,
and one is
the
the
other's
one
hunting.
going around. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
So that way, I mean, and then maybe they just have the phone. I don't know. Because at one point, sometimes he does have the phone. So maybe they're acting individually at some points too. Who knows?
Because there's, is there only
But
one
that's
voice
probably
changer?
how he gets
There's only
up
one.
to her so fast
Yeah.
and like has the cell phone and is already.
Yeah.
So I feel like he's the one calling. Stu is the one in costume.
So all of this shit is happening, and she finally runs.
She runs
we get to
upstairs.
She gets to the bedroom. She's trying to type 911 into the fucking computer.
I know, which I was like, what the fuck?
Well, yeah, I was
That's
like,
a thing?
people did that. I don't think
What?
they did. I don't know.
And like the operator comes back. What's your emergency?
Yeah, literally so fast. I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, murder.
I was like, I had dial up. It wasn't that fast.
And this is 1996. So
Yeah.
like, yeah. So anyways, yeah, he's trying to get in, but then we have Billy coming
Billy
through the
shows
window
up.
again.
And he has that phone. It drops, and
Yeah.
so she's like,
What the fuck?
"Why do you have that?"
And it's
so they
because-
arrest
and,
him.
and it's also 1996. So it's like not many people had cell phones at that
no,
point. Yeah,
no,
It's
not
like
at all.
Well, man, they are
They're
really
all
well off.
rich. They're all rich.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
you had to be rich, and it's
Yeah.
clear that, especially once we get to the station and meet his father,
Yeah. His
it's a
father's like
daddy's money kind
yeah.
of thing.
Was he a lawyer?
He looked like some sort of businessman,
Businessman, yeah.
Wall
Mhm.
Street motherfucker. Like,
Yeah.
never home.
Yeah.
Out here doing shit.
It's the way that Sydney's dad too. Well, yeah, working man. He was leaving for work and doing something. Yeah. And so meantime,
that's the whole plot. Yeah.
We never mentioned this at the beginning. Sydney's dad is going on a work trip the whole weekend, so he's gone. So she's by herself.
Yeah, and he does tell her specifically where he's going to be and everything, and that comes into play when they can't find him later.
Because daddy's So we get the scene where they're now at the police station and they're questioning Billy, and he gives her this fucking stare through the fucking like window. It's just so like
watching her, and it's like at this point he's doing a damn good job of acting.
Oh yeah,
because he's playing the innocent role rather well.
Yeah,
and here it makes you want to believe him,
because and you really think like,
and you're like, it can't be him.
It's him, but like no, because after all
you're questioning it just like she is.
Yeah,
they do a fantastic job. Yes. Fantastic job of putting you in the film with her.
Yeah.
We're with Sid.
Hi, I'm Hank. You might remember me from a show called King of the Hill. Check out a King of the Hill rewatch podcast. These boys ain't right, but they are funny. Find the podcast anywhere you get your podcasts or at roguemedianetwork.com. I tell you what.
And then we get the police station, and that's where Dewey is there.
We meet Dewey.
Yes.
And her Tatum and Dewey's interaction
is very like
fucking funny.
She's so sassy with him and like bullies him. It's cute.
It's the way I really remember thinking it was Dewey the whole time.
You did. That's interesting. I
was like,
I ever thought it was Dewey.
I did, because he fucking gave me like the creeps, and I was like, the way that
creepy older brother obsessed with younger sister's best friend,
and he was always there.
Yeah,
like he was always there. And he would have the way that he was finding all this information. It seemed like it was very possible for him to have been planting this and thinking
trying to lead it the other way. Yeah, to keep the suspicion off of his trails.
Yep.
But not Caitlin. Caitlin was on to you, Dewey.
Yeah, I was on to everyone. I really did. I suspected everyone.
Yeah.
At some point, Randy's the third friend, right?
Randy, yeah.
Yeah.
The Jamie Kennedy, the movie guy?
Yes. Yeah. It suspected
movie
him.
buff,
and
because he knows so much about movies.
Yeah. And he comes in and he's like, I would suspect me too.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, fuck. Should I suspect you? Okay. I suspect you. At one point, even too, I was like, okay, maybe her dad is on it.
Me too.
Like,
I did think that.
Everyone, I was just like, everyone is Ghostface.
All of them.
They're all guilty. Arrest them all.
Oh man. And so, we have. I love when Dewey's like, Mom said whenever we're here, you have to respect me because I'm a man of the
because I'm a man of the law.
And she's like, okay, deputy, do what is it?
I don't remember.
Yes.
Something doofus. Who knows?
Yes. And
it's the way that she's younger than him, but she
owns him.
She does. She walks all over him.
She got pwned. And then they go out the back because they don't want to go into the media frenzy that's at the front.
But Monica's smart.
Yeah. Yeah.
AKA Gail.
Ale.
Gail Weathers.
Gail fucking
She does sound like a
Weathers.
meteorologist.
Oh yeah, I know it. Yes, that name.
You got a Gale
Such
Force
a like
wind.
TV like.
It's not spelled correctly.
It's the way that there was, I don't know if this is literally her real name. Back in the day, there was this girl on like Channel 25 News weather, and her name was Olga Breeze. She was the weather person, Olga Breeze.
I love it.
I'm like, there's no way that's
for this
real.
role.
There's no way that's real.
She changed. She was so into meteorology.
Literally.
Changed her name.
And so they go out the back, and we have this interaction between Sydney and Gail, and
realize there's some bad blood
because Gail was writing a book, an expose, I guess, over Sydney's mother's murder. And I love the line where she's like, Sydney's like, send me or I love what did she say? I love the book or something like that.
She's like, I'll have to get a copy, and then she's like, I'll send you a copy, and
punch.
then bam,
And just socks it to her.
She punched her right in the face, and then that's where we get we get home to
Mhm.
her being at the Tatum
At the Tatum
Tatum's
households.
house.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, I don't
With
know what their
little,
last name is.
her little bedroom and like the 2 beds, little twin beds.
So cute.
And she's like, take that, Gail Weathers.
You're badass.
I love it.
It is funny. And then a phone call comes in for
Sydney.
for Sydney. And it's the way that Dewey was like, I'll just be right next door. And so then I was like, the call could be coming from in the house. And like, because he doesn't show up until afterwards.
Until after it happens.
And so I'm like, this motherfucker is sitting, because his mom's like
Literally on the
banging.
other side, yeah.
And so I'm like, he could be on the other side, just sitting there calling her.
And it
I
almost
really
too,
suspected him the whole
and too, because
first time.
his character has that whole kind of like ditzy kind of
And
thing
like
going
creepy,
on.
and it makes you think like he's
He's
like
playing it
playing
up
a role,
to like look dumb.
and then all of a sudden he's like, haha, I'm this big mastermind. Yeah. So like I really
It
suspected him the first time.
it could have went either. Imagine like I want to see.
Okay,
I want
in Scary Movie.
What
is it not? Don't they? I feel like it's been so long since I've seen Scary Movie.
The first one, yeah. What is?
Don't they pin it on what they call him Stewie in there? Don't they? Or is this an SNL sketch?
I don't remember because it's been a long time since I've seen the first.
I'll
Scary
have to
movie.
go watch it again. That would be fun.
Yeah,
we should have that as a bonus episode.
I love Scary Movie.
Let's do
I just
it.
haven't seen it in a long time. But
Yeah. Oh God, I've not seen that in at least, probably almost 20 years.
Yeah, that's the way that like the first
saw
time I
that as
watched
a
it. Me
kid.
too. And I was with my sisters, and I guess somehow they got it
I don't
rented
know
from
when
like
it came in.
Blockbuster, and so we were watching it at home. And I was like, I remember like, oh, I shouldn't probably be watching this. And I think it felt cool because they were watching it with like their friends or something like that. Mm-hmm.
You're like, ooh, this is an adult movie.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I think there's some titties on there, no?
Yeah, I think so.
Mm-hmm.
But so then they call again, and I at this point was like, this motherfucker is twisted.
Yeah.
Like the stuff that they're saying, and they're saying you pointed the wrong finger, like you've accused. That's not
of Cotton Weary.
Yeah. And so you've
wrongfully.
false.
Yeah.
Girl,
we're getting there. We're getting there.
Wrongfully accused, falsely accused.
Y'all get it.
Someone.
Y'all get it.
You
Go
know
watch
what
the
we're
movie.
trying to say. But man, and they were saying some nasty. Those girls
The school
in
bathroom,
the
the mean girls, the cheerleader.
They're so fucking mean.
Maybe she just lost her mind and she's now killing everybody because now Sydney wants to be the center of attention.
She realized that killing herself would be. That's so like last year is basically what they said. It's so out.
Yeah.
And now it's like the thing is to be homicidal.
Very valley
maniac.
girl.
And it's
I
just
love
like,
how the friend's
Jesus.
like, don't say that. But she's still like,
She's like, so yeah, like,
give me more.
it's like, ooh, you bad.
I love it. And then we have, obviously Sydney's listening to all of this in the fucking stall.
It's the way she looks at herself and goes pathetic. And I was like, oh, bitch, I've been there every day of my life.
And then and then Ghostface is somehow in here.
Yeah.
Were you in there the whole time? Just
yeah, probably.
Yeah, just waiting.
And fucking he goes to attack her. She gets out.
Yeah. I love
And
how
then we got a Candyman reference.
Oh, yeah.
It's a very
yeah.
brief Candyman reference, but
I love when she's looking underneath the stalls that finally you see like the boots and then the little gown come down. I don't know what the cloak, whatever you want to call it. And it's the way too that like his Ghostface is always like missing her or like leaping for her, and then she's like, and then hurting
it's
himself
gotta be
more.
Stu every time.
Well, it's Stu because when she comes right out of the restroom, she runs into Billy.
That's right.
And that's whenever he's like telling her like you're
he's gaslighting her.
He's gaslighting her for sure up the ass and like telling her
it's been a
she
year
needs to
already.
get
Why aren't
over
you
it.
over your mom's
And
death?
he's like, my mom left, and she's like, well, your mom's not dead.
And he was like, okay, yeah, that was a bad analogy. And I was like, motherfucker, that was the dumbest thing you could have fucking said.
Yeah.
That is a terrible analogy.
But she's a teenager at this point. We
True.
have to be in like that's like he's definitely gaslighting her, and it's the way it comes back around later to where like it worked, because she ends up
I guess
putting
the
out.
bathroom scene actually technically happens after that.
Oh, that's right.
The soap dispensers in the bathroom were really cool, by the way. I liked that. They were like upside down. I don't know. They looked really cool.
I've seen something like that before. I think my old school had one like that, like the elementary school.
But for real though, those girls were being fucking bitches.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
And then that's when we have we're with Fonzie, the principal.
Yeah.
He's
well, and not quite yet. So we're before that, we're with Gail and
her camera
and Dewey on
Dewey.
the front porch on the steps of the school, and this was
They're
another reason.
flirting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and she was like, "Is this a serial killer?" And he's like, "Well, we got to knock off a couple more to call it that title."
Yeah.
And so then I was like, again, it seems like he's being like, "Oh,
Yeah.
well, I just got to kill a few more people, and then
That's
I
it.
can have that title."
Mhm.
And so I really was like really suspicious of him there. And then yes, they are flirting, and she was
Yeah.
like, "I typically like
But demographic is
the 11 to 24."
25. Yeah, something
And
like
I was
that.
like, "Ew."
And
And
he's
then
like, I just turned 25.
he was like, "I was 24 for a whole year," which was smooth. But I
Yeah.
was like, "What?"
Yeah. A little cheesy, a little corny.
Yeah, it
But
was.
it definitely builds up their little romance that now it's like, oh, okay, these people like each other.
And but then yes, now we're with Fonzie. We're with the principal. He's
Fonzarelli.
sitting there putting on the mask, and this is where I made the note that I was like, it really does make you feel like it could be everyone or anyone, like anyone
Yeah.
could be this person, which I think is terrifying.
Yeah.
It really adds to the horror.
Well, because you
itself.
just don't know. You never know who it is throughout the whole movie until you get to the end.
Exactly.
Which is good, and it keeps you entertained and like engaged with like
Oh, yeah.
what's happening with the characters.
There's no like boring moment in this film. Like you want to watch the whole time.
It's also like it's a really good length. Like it's a
Yes.
perfect.
Mhm.
It's it's a really good
Nice
time
curve.
running. It's perfect. Like it's not too long. It's not too short. It's just right.
Just right. Goldilocks.
It's the perfect amount of girth.
Goldilocks found the 3 dicks.
Oh my god.
We should write a book.
Literally.
Goldilocks and the 3 dicks.
And so yeah, we have. Oh, I love when he looks out because he hears noises, right? And he looks out opens the door
And we
to
get
the
Freddy the
hallway, and the
janitor.
janitor has the fucking Freddy Krueger. Like it's so
Yeah.
on the nose.
And it's exactly like Friday the 13th in the
Yeah.
body bag scene.
Yeah.
And it was so good.
It's so many references throughout the whole movie.
It's funny. And his name was actually Fred.
Was it?
Yes, he
Oh,
was like
yeah.
or whatever, Fred. And
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God.
And so and Freddy Krueger was a janitor, right? At some point. Yeah.
And then that was the hall pass lady. I was thinking hall pass, but
off of yeah.
But yes, I believe
Or
he
maybe in the
was. What?
I just remember that at least maybe in the remake, I remember he would like worked with kids. That's right. It was
Yeah.
a janitor at the school or something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
something like that.
I'm pretty sure it's the way that we watched this like recently.
Literally. That's the way that Scream is my favorite movie, and I'm like having trouble recalling everything, all the little minute details. But yeah. So, and then we have after that.
He goes back in. He's on edge.
Oh yeah. He's on
And
edge, and then
looking around, and then
looking behind the doors and stuff, and then
He gets nice and killed.
pops out. I want to say it's Billy.
probably
I feel like it's Billy. I
At
feel
this
like
point.
he has some anger towards the principal that he wanted to take out.
just tink, tink, tink.
Tink tink.
Ooh, and the way that it pans in on his eyeball after his death.
Oh yeah.
And you're just getting so it's his eyeball
And the
you
reflection
see
of
Ghostface.
Ghostface.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
good. I was like, that's nice.
That's a good
nice little
shot.
tidbit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and then they get to the porch. It's Tatum and what's her
Oh yeah, Sydney.
Sydney.
And they're
The main
Miss
character.
Prescott, and they're having that conversation.
And it's the way this porch looks exactly like the one from 10 Things I Hate About You. And I wanted to like try and go and find if it was the same porch, like same film
yeah, same
set.
scene.
Because it looked spot on. And the way they're sitting on the ledge, it's like at one point. Anyways, but
I've never seen that movie, but I know which one you're talking about.
it's on Prime for
Okay.
free
I'll have to watch it sometime.
or included with
I just
Prime.
know like certain parts of it that are like pop
Iconic.
pop
Yeah.
culture. Yeah.
Oh, it's so good.
Like the guidance counselor writing fan
Mm-hmm.
fic.
Mhm.
Oh,
Pulsating. Bratwurst.
Yes. And so
Oh, and we get drops of carpenters' names here.
we do,
Yay.
and we also get this like conversation between Tatum where it's like just planting kind of seeds of doubt with Sydney of like the whole
Mhm.
cotton weary and all that stuff, and then
And kind
her
of,
mom being a whore.
yeah. Essentially, I guess if you
The town
get
talk.
around,
Yeah.
you're a fucking bad person and deserve to be killed.
Yeah.
Is what?
Which is not the case.
No,
And so
I'd be dead.
at this point, then I think it goes to what?
They're
Randy
at the
and then
movie
with
store.
The movie store.
Mhm.
Randy and Stu and Billy. Yes, and that's when they're having that
Randy's
conversation.
like, "This
of,
is your
like,
standard horror movie stuff. Like, It always happens.
Yeah.
And it's the way that he was like, don't you think it would be Billy? And then Stu asks, like, why would he want to kill his girlfriend? And he's like, there's always some stupid reason that you'd want to kill your girlfriend. And I was like, is there? Is there
Sus.
always a reason you'd want to kill your girlfriend? Because I don't.
I feel like that's
Something's wrong.
Yeah.
If that's your
it's a
outlook.
red flag.
Yeah.
And then
Makes
and
you think him.
Also, we get a tidbit here too, where Stu's kind of already planting, and like I think it's the father, you know, and I think it's her dad.
Yeah. Yeah. He's trying to frame.
And so that's where we're already kind of getting in our minds. Oh, it could be the dad, because like, where's the dad been this whole time?
Yeah, because they've been looking for him. Even the first night when Billy got arrested.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. They couldn't get a hold of him.
They were trying to type it in, and she's like, "Yeah, this one at the at the Hilton next to the airport or something like that."
Yeah.
And they were like, "No, he's not registered there," and stuff. So he's missing. No one knows really where he is.
And it's the way that she's not even really freaking out about this the whole time. Like, oh, my dad's missing.
Like,
and
your
there's
mom's
murders
already
happening.
been murdered.
Yeah.
There are murders happening. Your dad's missing. Like, what?
Being targeted. And so, yeah.
Randy's saying there's a formula. He's like, watch prom night. And then Billy comes in and he's pointing his finger at Randy.
Yeah.
And
that's, and we're getting this
and
whole
Randy
kind
said,
of
I would suspect me. Like,
yeah.
So it's like,
and then we get this kind of like intimidating little stance from Billy and Stu, like, you know, which gave me very
posting up
homoerotic vibes, to be honest.
Oh, maybe deep lovers.
Billy and Stu. I mean, they are lovers in my mind.
Yeah.
Because why else would Stu do all this just for Billy?
Yeah, that's true.
That's my best bro. Yeah, let's do it, man. That sounds like a good
I'll
idea.
help you murder some people.
Yeah, for sure.
Nope.
And so, yeah, everybody's a suspect. I love that sign, time, Lord. Line. I could not get the word line out. I said everything else that rhymed.
At one point I was just like, I don't even know what you're saying anymore. But I believe you.
Yes. And then
they're cutting to buy some snacks now.
Yeah, because there's a party happening tonight,
at Stu's house.
Which is, you know, of course, when there's a curfew and there's a murderer out, let's just all have a party.
Because class has been suspended. Yeah. And that's why the principal was alone anyways.
Yeah.
And all the kids had gone home. And there's a line, Tatum goes, Billy and his penis don't deserve you, Sydney. And I was like, yes, bitch.
Tatum knows the truth.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's why I think, well, we're at the right. We're getting now to like the party scene.
And, yeah, at some point something happened in there where I was like, they're framing her dad. Whoever it is framing her dad.
Yeah.
And it's the way that Dewey a cop drives them to an underage party.
And it's just chilling there.
Just is like, there you go.
Let's go. Going in with his date, Miss Gail Weathers.
Yeah, and at one point he's like, you're underage. And he goes, nah, I'm just joking with you. I was like, no.
It's really...
No cop would do that.
But I guess he's there in the ulterior mission, like he's
trying to look cool.
Yeah, and also like they're trying to figure out who the murderer is and trying to protect Sydney and Tatum.
Just kind of undercover.
Yeah.
But yes, it's at a massive fucking house.
Full fucking police outfit.
Yeah. And he drove them in his cop car.
Yeah. And it's where that none of the kids are like, oh yeah, it's like a cop. No, they're all like, you know,
that's probably Dewey. None of them respect Dewey. Yeah, they're just like, this fucking, what the hell is he gonna do? We could take him. Yeah. But yeah, all these kids are fucking loaded. They're reading off all these titles, all of which Jamie Lee Curtis are in.
Yeah.
And who Tatum's Scream like, Queen. Why do all of them have Jamie Lee Curtis? And they're like, because she's the Scream Queen.
Yeah.
Like, and so, I mean, they give a little tribute to her.
Jamie Lee.
That's right. And this is where Tatum goes out to get some beers for people. And good fucking Lord, her boobies look amazing in that green shirt. When she opens that door, and it's just like, damn, bitch, yeah.
Big ol' bitties.
Big ol' bitties, big ol' tibbies. Yeah. And she's getting all the beers. The door locks her in.
Do you think it's... Is it Stu, or is it Billy?
Or who kills her there? Yeah. I feel like Stu wouldn't have killed her.
I don't think
but Stu's missed... No, Stu is still...
He's still there sitting with them.
Yeah, so I think it's Billy. Because Stu's still shooting the shit. He doesn't disappear yet, but he does.
Because that's talking about the rules. Yeah.
And the whole time we never knew Billy. They were like, I didn't tell Billy. Like, Billy's not going to show up because they didn't want to upset Sydney.
Yeah. That's right.
And where
he
is
didn't come to
Sydney?
the party.
She's still sitting there watching the movie? No. She goes somewhere else, doesn't she? I don't
It's
know.
all getting a little
Sydney's
jumbled.
ghost face.
She is. No. And so anyways, yeah, let's get back to Tatum. Tatum's in the fucking fridge getting the beer, and then the door like gets locked, and then that's whenever we have Ghostface appear to her.
Yeah. We have a little jump scare with the cat, and the cat goes out the
The little
cat door.
which is foreshadowing.
Yep.
And so we have her kind of being really like coy and like sassy.
She's like
classic
Mr.
Tatum.
Ghostface, and that's where we get his name.
Yeah.
And
so
she's being a badass bitch.
yeah,
here.
for the most part. And it's this part where you're gonna kill me. And so
Do I get to play the victim? And he's like, yes.
And then that's when he grabs her arm, and then she's like, "You're hurting me."
And he fucking slices it.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And then that's when she realizes, "Oh, okay.
Okay, this is real. Yeah.
Yeah. Throws the beer.
I love the way she throws the beer at him. She's like, get the fuck
The way
back.
it just crash it, like all the glass just like, psh, because I'm thinking like too, I don't think were beer bottles different back then. I don't think a beer bottle would do that. Like, right? Just like instantly just
explode
break on
you.
someone.
No, that's probably for
like-
artistic
yeah,
effect.
Yeah.
I
That's
mean, if
definitely-
you're whacking it over someone's head, yeah,
yeah.
you'd like
Mhm.
kill them.
They're pretty thick, man.
Yeah,
I mean,
that'd fuck you up.
mm,
But I don't think it's gonna. Some of them had already broken from when she had dropped it, but yeah,
Sure.
most of them.
there's
I think
a
she
crack in it.
maybe they were.
And then that's when he runs up to her and she like fucking whacks him with the refrigerator door.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a struggle a bit, and
She's trying to escape
get out of the fucking
in a dumb way.
I just don't.
I was like, Tatum's a badass bitch, but trying to escape that way was dumb as hell.
Yeah.
And I said, however, it does make for one of the coolest fucking deaths.
It really does, man.
it's
The way that
awesome.
like he starts opening up and she's stuck, and all you see is her little legs just like
Mm-hmm.
flailing, and she can't get out. And she's stuck by those big old boobies, and then
They're like,
they're
I'm imagining it cracks
it's really
her neck.
it's really fast, but like it like squishes her head,
Ugh.
and you kind of see it a little bit. But in the original, again, because of the MPAA, they had to cut it
take it
down.
out.
But you can find it on YouTube, the original like uncut scene, and it's like a more graphic version of her head getting like
Damn.
yeah, just
That's
like
crazy.
squished and a little electrocuted by the mechanics of the garage door.
It is a good death.
Yes, and then you just have. I love how Ghostface just like sleuds back into the door, like just
He's like,
into
I'm
the
gonna
party.
go right back to the party.
Yeah, literally.
And this is where they're making they make a not horror film reference, but they say as if, and they're like, okay, Alicia.
Yeah.
I was like, that's so good.
And so very pop culture of that time.
Yes.
And and that's whenever Randy's going over the rules with everybody too, like in the living room about like what one you can never have sex. Oh, what did I miss?
But
Oh,
yes, Billy shows up.
Billy shows up, and then he takes Sydney upstairs.
Takes Sydney upstairs, and she's saying like, because she's like, yeah, we should have a talk. And he pretty much is like, he's like, sorry, you know, blah blah blah, I shouldn't have said something like that. And she was like, my PTSD, like I'm acting selfish. She's like, you're right, it is time for me to move on. I was like, no to all of this.
It's the way too that I cringed that she gives it up to him, because I'm just like, oh, he's like,
he's a
killed
piece of
your
trash.
mom, and
Yeah.
he's gonna kill you, and
And because like sleeping with someone doesn't make you a bad person. And I don't know. Then there's a Silence of the Lamb reference somewhere in there. And then now it's,
I must have missed that one. I don't know what that one
it
is.
was real subtle as they were talking. Like he
okay.
brings it
Okay.
up. Billy brings it up as they're sitting there on the bed. And I'm like, why is this? What?
Because he gets off. He gets off.
On this. Yeah.
On all of it.
And then he was like saying,
I sounded mad.
because she goes, well, this isn't a movie, and he
Yeah.
was like, but it is a movie, and he was like, and you can't pick your genre, which I was like, oh, that's a good line.
Yeah,
That's good.
and it's also foreshadowing to like the end scene too, where a lot of their inspiration is like from the movies.
And then they start going to have sex. He does get consent. He's like, are you sure? And I was like, damn it.
But it's all gaslighting. Yeah.
And then she also doesn't say yes. She says, I think so, which is like,
and then they start getting hot and heavy.
Yep. And then we go back downstairs to where Randy is giving us
The rules: you can never have sex.
He said only virgins can outsmart the killers, essentially.
No drugs.
No drinkies.
And you can and never say, I'll be right back.
Yep.
And then that's when we have Stu being like, I'm going to go get a beer. I'll be right back.
Dick.
Yeah. And at that point too, what's happening?
So then, they found Dewey is going to investigate a car that he found in the woods, and he asks Gail if she wants to come with them.
Mm-hmm.
And they're walking. They decide to walk down there because it's a nice night. Like, this is a date.
While they're trying to figure out a murder.
Yeah.
They also both enjoy that too. And then we have the kids driving really fast.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of, at this point, so the horror movie is lining up with what's happening kind of on, so they're watching Halloween.
Yes.
At this point, they're watching Halloween. We're getting Jamie Lee. And at this point, the movie itself starts lining up with Halloween and like what they're saying, like, don't do that kind of thing. And then it even more lines up later with Randy.
Oh, yeah. Here in a bit.
But the way that it's lining up is just brilliant. That was such a great technique. That was so smart. I loved it. I thought it was amazing.
It's super clever. It's super smart.
And then, so then the kids get the phone call about the principal being dead.
That's
and
right.
Like strung up from the goalpost.
And they all want to go see that.
Yeah.
And it's like,
which
okay.
these ghost faces really putting in the extra work, like Michael. Really stringing them up and making this a spectacle. So.
Well, and it's way too that it's pretty premeditated too, because they wanted them all to leave so that way they could fucking kill Sydney.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then so the cars come. Dewey and Gail,
Monica
get thrown. You know, they jump.
I don't
into
even
the
know how
woods.
that, because
they're just trying to get out of the way real fast.
He grabs her and they start rolling, and then he ends up on top of her. No, she ends up on top.
Yeah,
of
no,
her.
he's on top of her.
Yeah,
and they kiss.
Yeah.
And then she looks over and she goes, "Is this what you were looking for?" And he goes, "My whole life." And then she was like, "No."
No. And it's the dad's car. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's Mr. Prescott's car. And then that's when they're like, "Oh shit!" And so then it's time to go back to the house.
They have hella thought this out.
Yeah.
At this point, like they have framed him
so much. And so then we have Randy and like the whole
Well, first we're up there. We pan back to Billy and Sydney in the room. And, and she's saying something like,
putting the clothes back on.
Yeah.
It already happened.
And he was like, "What do I have to do to prove to you that I'm not a killer?" And then in comes Ghostface and stabs him.
And then his ketchup packets start blowing up.
Yep. And it's at this point, which is like, okay, well, you getting killed kind of proves you're not a killer in her mind. But as we find out later,
it's all set up.
Yep.
And so then she runs out. She's a whole little chase scene with Ghostface.
And she finds Tatum.
Oh, that scene too. Yeah,
it's the way she almost like retches too, and it's like that's a very like believable response. Like her acting there was spot on.
Finding your best friend just like
murdered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then so she's running, and then she finally gets out the house, and she runs to the Kenny in the camera van, the news van.
And this is where we get Randy basically narrating his own
what's happening, and it's so meta
on Halloween. Yeah,
it's like don't look behind you.
Just look behind you. Look behind you. And the whole time, Ghostface is behind him.
And it's perfect, also too, the way it's set up that like they're watching it as well, and we already know this that there's a 30-second delay on the camera.
And that 30-second delay is what gets Kenny killed,
literally,
because he's like, "Oh shit. Oh fuck!" And then he turns around,
slashed in the throat,
gets his tink. Gets his little throat slashed.
Yeah, right in front of Sid too, and Sid's just like, ah.
And this is where I put Ghostface again, putting in that extra work, like Michael, just like the movie was playing, like because with the blood on the steps, whenever Gail gets out there. Whenever Gail gets out there, and then the blood on the windshield, dripping down. Whenever
she tries to reverse, and then his body just like falls into the windshield.
It's the way that she eats him too. She's like, "Get off my windshield!"
Love it. Yes. And then what? She's driving off. She almost hits Sydney.
Yep.
And that's when she crashes into a tree.
And so they think that she's out of commission. They're like, "Okay, we've taken care of her."
Yeah.
And she's Sydney's hiding out in the police car at this moment.
That's right.
And she's phoning the police, and she's super aware of her surroundings, but somehow didn't notice the trunk opening of a hatchback. So it's like, you would have heard that.
You would have felt it, heard it, all of the above.
And then the weight of somebody getting in the car. But that's okay. We don't.
Yeah, it's all right.
criticize.
You know, kind of callback to, I really liked the way that maybe it's like a meta in itself in the movie, that when go back to whenever Kenny was getting murdered and she was in the little camera van, she goes through a little hole just like Tatum was trying to go through
The little hole as
the
well.
little hole. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but Sydney
Yeah, what
made
a
it
weird
through.
way to escape.
But
And then,
Sydney made it through,
And then
yeah.
Ghostface is like trying to
Literally.
wiggle through after her.
And so, yeah, so then she's in the police car, and then we have...
she gets attacked, and she gets out.
Yes.
Runs up to the porch, in which now Stu has showed up with
Yeah.
Randy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the way that she's like, fuck you both.
Literally. And leaves them outside.
Yep. And then she locks him out because she's got the gun in her hands now.
Yeah.
And then Billy fucking falls down the stairs.
That's right. Oh my God. The way it's so dramatic too, the way he's just like...
Yep.
It's like,
and she's like, oh
bro,
my God, are you
calm
okay?
down.
And he's
Yeah.
like, yeah, I'm fine. I've been stuffed like a pig, but I'm fine. Like,
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, something.
Yeah.
And it's the way that then the door opens. Like he's like, what's going on? So he lets them in.
Yeah.
He lets them in. And then we have a Psycho reference.
Mm-hmm.
And then also once he locks the door and we get the Carrie reference of pig's blood.
That's
And
true.
and then that's where we find out it's Billy and Stu.
And then we have Randy get shot.
Ooh,
Right.
so
The way he
dramatic.
like flies back.
Too. I was
Yeah.
like, was this a shotgun
Do
shot?
bullets do that? I don't think a 9mm would do that. A
Yeah.
handgun.
Because the table's like shattered
Yeah.
and stuff, which it hit his body, but like
Theatrics.
Yeah.
You know, it's artistic.
It was a little over the top.
And so, yeah, that's when we find out now that Billy and Stu
Are in on it.
Mm.
And it's the way that she goes, fuck you. And he goes, we already played that game, remember? And I was like,
Oh, cringe.
oh, I wanted to punch him.
Yeah.
Ugh. And they tell her that they killed her mom, and she's just like sitting here like, she's got to be in shock.
She's got, yeah.
That also probably has to do with the fact that she's not like,
There's so many factors. One, they reveal that they killed her mom. Two, you have these two lunatics, obviously, that are in front of you, are unhinged,
yeah,
like in your
clearly.
like a mouse, like cornered into the kitchen.
they've got your father.
Your
we find out.
They got your father. You just saw your best friend murdered.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
And it's people that you knew.
Yeah.
It's
Oh, yeah.
these
It's your
two
fucking
people-
boyfriend.
Yeah, it's your fucking boyfriend sitting here murdering your entire friend group, murdering your family,
Yeah. It was wild.
and knowing that you were that close, and literally he was just inside you. And they killed her mom for pretty much. He was just like, so at first he said it's a lot scarier when there's no motive, because she was like, why would you do this?
Yeah.
And then but then he has a motive,
Yeah.
so it's like,
Which is that
what? Okay.
his mommy broke up his parents. And like that's
He said your slut mother was fucking my father, and that's why my mother left and abandoned me.
what a
Abandoned
baby.
me. Yeah, for real. Fuck
He's
you,
got
dude.
some
It happens every day.
issues. Yeah, and then it's the way that Stu really had no motive though.
Yeah, Stu didn't. Stu was
had
just
no motive.
He was just here.
like, I'm here for the fun.
I guess maybe his motive for killing
Casey
Drew, yeah,
was that she dumped him.
Yeah,
and then
exactly.
maybe
Randy-
that's how Billy like tied him into it, and because then like, well, you already killed her, let's keep doing this.
Yeah.
You know? Didn't you like that? Because I totally feel like Billy is like very obviously he's manipulative, so he could make people do what he wants.
Oh yeah, he was the true mastermind. They frame her dad. We find out, and then the way that they stab one another.
Oh,
I
God, that
fucking-
whole scene.
Okay, but
Come on, man.
Yeah,
Come on, man.
I feel a little woozy here.
Woozy, bro. Oh my
I
God.
love it. I love it.
It's great.
It's so
It's a little campy, but it's just enough over the top.
The way that Stu is acting is just like, and then she's like, y'all are all fucking like these. You all watch too many movies,
Yeah.
and it's like, and he at one point just goes, movies make psychos more creative,
Mhm.
and it's like, yeah, I mean that's
Obviously,
where
I mean there is
it's
no
where
lie.
the real origin for this.
Literally.
He got it from a lot of his.
I love how
horror
that ties
films.
back to
So,
that. Yeah.
That's the way that Stu walks over there later, and it's like, because he's like, get the gun.
Yeah.
And he goes, Houston, we have a problem here. The gun is
gun's
missing. And then Monica comes in.
Monica, I love it. Comes in.
Oh, right.
and
I literally wrote Monica. I'm
Gail,
sorry.
no, you're good. Gail comes in and she tries to shoot them, but she doesn't fucking take the safety off.
Yeah.
And so he's able to like fucking
Disarm her.
and then and then pistol whips her, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. and
Knocks her to the
knocks her
ground
to the ground.
on Dewey.
Mhm.
And then this would have been a really fucking cool death, because he goes, Gail Weathers signing off. And Like if he
Yeah.
would have killed her, it would have been like, oh shit, that was good.
But that's whenever she's like, "Where the fuck is Sydney?"
yeah, because Sydney and her dad are missing, and then
Yeah.
they're like, oh fuck, okay, and
Yeah.
then Sydney calls
I love it. I love the
still-
like reversal
because
roles.
they had to frame her father. They had put the telephone and the voice
And the little
disorder.
in his pocket.
Yeah.
His little shirt pocket.
So they got him. Yeah, I'm just like grabbing my boob. You know,
Me too.
they put
Got
it
a
in his
good-
boobie.
A good boob grab.
But yeah, so she calls them. She flips the roles right around.
Yeah.
And she's like, nah, bitch.
Yeah.
I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. It's some actual boss ass bitch shit that she's pulling right now. And then she's like,
She's in the closet, right? Yeah.
and they were just like, I was like, they were watching all those horror films, and I'm like, y'all are ones that are fucking idiots. Like, y'all should have known not to mess with a girl like her.
Yeah.
Like, she,
Final girl.
Mm-hmm. She really was.
And now the call really is coming from inside the house.
Mm-hmm.
And so then we have what she jumps.
Wait.
What?
So Stu gets the phone at one point, and she's like, I called the police.
Oh, that's right.
bitches. And then he's like,
God, are gonna be so upset with me.
Stu, this whole time is just cracking me up.
Yeah.
He's sitting there. He's like literally bleeding out. He's
death.
gonna be charged for murder.
Yeah.
And he's like, my mom and dad are gonna be so mad at me.
Oh my God, it's fucking Stu. And so then we have she pops out of the closet and attacks Billy, right, with the fucking umbrella.
Mm-hmm.
Stabbing someone with an umbrella though, like,
Some of those little umbrella tips are pretty sharp.
yeah,
So
she got him good.
she did.
Yeah, because that's gonna come back here in a little bit too.
Yep.
And so yeah, they have their little tussle, and then that's whenever she then has her altercation with Stu, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right after that,
Stu's
and
trying to get her.
She's trying to kill her, and then they go into the living room, and that's whenever
He says, I've always had a thing for you,
Mhm.
Sid. And then she stands up and she goes, in your dreams, and smashes him with the TV.
I love that scene, which
Drops
she
it
couldn't
right
do
on.
obviously nowadays with all the flat screens.
No.
But yeah,
Yeah.
that's and then I don't even know, like, does that kill someone back in the
I
day?
don't know.
I don't know.
They
I
were
mean,
heavy.
They were heavy.
They
Let alone it
were
would have
heavy.
smashed his head in, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it electrocuted him. It's fun. But then, yes, she runs off. We encounter Billy again, though.
Mhm.
And she puts him down by stabbing her little
I
finger.
love when she does that
Yep. And she stabs her finger in.
to his little umbrella hole.
Mm-hmm. To his umbrella hole. And then this is where Monica gets up and she takes
Yeah.
off that safe. Gail, I'm fucking sorry.
You're good.
Gail gets up.
Gail.
It's the way I wrote Monica the entire time.
Gail shoots sucking Billy,
Mm-hmm.
and it's the way at that point you're like almost like, wait, it's not Sydney shooting, like, you know,
Oh,
if
like
you're
you
watching it
wanted
for the
to
first,
be.
if you're watching it for the first time, right, you'd be like, oh damn, it's not as satisfying as if, like, you know, Sydney killing him. But then you have Randy, like, Randy's still alive too,
Yeah.
and they're like, watch out. He's like, watch out. This is the moment in the movie whenever the serial killer gets back up for his final scare.
Yeah.
And then what?
And he does.
Boom. And that's the really satisfying whenever Sydney gets to just pop him right in the
the
forehead.
head. And she goes, not in my movie.
Mm-hmm.
Hell yes, bitch. And then it ends with Gail reporting
On the
on
murders,
everything
yeah,
that
yeah,
happened.
yeah.
And
the
it kinda
pan out of
pans
the
up.
house. Yeah. And you get that same shot of like what she, you know, the looking over the countryside, the vineyard, whatever, from her home.
Mm-hmm.
But-
And then we got a little thunderclap and we get a flash of ghost face
Yeah. And that's it.
and it goes to credits. It's so good. I love that ending.
This movie is just so good.
It is.
I love it.
I really enjoyed getting to watch it
Yay.
again.
I'm glad.
So I was very happy.
Yeah, and we're excited to be covering Scream, you guys, because Scream 5, but it's just called Scream for some reason, which is really confusing to me.
It is.
But
It's coming
Scream
out.
5 is coming out in January of this next year, so we're going to be covering the Scream franchise and
Leading up to it.
leading up to it, and then
Having a scream
having a Screaming-thon.
Of
So
sorts.
keep your eyes and ears peeled out for that, because
Mhm.
we'll be posting some stuff and we're excited. We went to do a whole little shindig and have a viewing party of Scream, and also give y'all a little recap in some way that we're going to do for the 2, 3, and 4 leading up to actual Scream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that way we can
So
all
fun.
kind of watch it together.
Yeah,
An
it'll be
actual
fun.
person. So
Yeah, it's going to be great.
it will. But how many
Time to boo.
Time
Girl,
to boo.
I'm a 5.
5, yeah.
I have such a bias. I really
No, that's
love
awesome.
this
So that's your
movie.
first 5 you've ever given, right?
I think so.
This is the first 5 either of us have ever given.
Are you giving it a 5?
Oh, okay. So I'm very inclined to.
It's you do. Okay,
But then I'm
inclined?
like-
Are you inclined?
Then I'm like, ugh, there's so many other movies that
No, I mean, hey, you do what you want. But I'm just, for me, it holds a dear.
it really
place in my
is
heart.
up there though.
It's a 5.
Like 4.75, maybe a 5 for me too. It was so good. It was so good
Mhm.
then. It was so
I
good to
think
watch
it's
now.
well written. It's well directed. It's a good small cast to where you get the to know them, and you care for them,
Mm-hmm.
and you also are like on edge the whole time because you're trying to figure out, well, which one of these people is this?
It really has you guessing.
Um,
Even like, because I've seen it before, but it's been so long that even, like
Mhm.
the whole time too, I was just like, wait,
Mm.
who is it?
And then the kills. I mean, the opening scene,
Mhm.
let alone just the opening scene for me.
So good.
is
Yeah,
just-
I think I'm gonna give it a 5 too.
Sells me.
It is
Yeah.
so good.
Yeah.
So good. If you haven't watched Scream, what the fuck are you doing with your life?
I
Go
love
rewatch it. It's amazing.
So good.
5 boots. First 5.
Is it?
I'm
I think so.
pretty sure.
Like just spot on 5.
From us.
Yeah.
Because other people have given it 5s. And like
Yeah.
Blair Witch, I think, got very close. It was
To a 5
with
for
an
you.
average.
Yeah. Of like 4.5 or something like that.
Yeah, because might give it a 6.
Yeah, that's right.
And so
That's
we average
right.
it out to it being like our first 5. And I will say, yeah, I mean, Blair
this
Witch was
is-
incredible. This movie is incredible. 5.
And there you have it, folks.
That's
We give
that's
Scream
the
a
sitch.
5.
We give Scream a
And
5.
I'm like,
5
I am
screams from us.
I
5
am
boos.
so excited for this 5th one.
I hope it doesn't suck
Yeah,
balls.
I mean, I'm trying not to have any like too big high expectations for it, but I'm excited for it.
I'm
and
honestly
I mean,
expecting to be let down.
I mean, it's the way that even 2 and 3, a lot of people don't really like 3, but like
I'm
I-
excited to
I
get to
liked
watch
them.
because I don't know if I've actually seen
ooh,
3.
oh,
I know I've seen 2.
and it's the way that you said right now that Billy's the mastermind, and I'm like, wait till you watch 3.
Wait,
'cause
Billy or
there's-
Dewey? When I
Billy.
think Dewey.
No,
wait.
when you said that, well, because Billy's
Oh.
the mastermind of
Okay,
this
yeah,
one,
yeah.
but like there's some
Oh, I'm
retconning.
excited.
There's some retconning.
Okay.
Yeah, that where we find
Ooh.
out that
Oh,
not such is the case.
I'm excited.
Yeah,
I can't wait to see.
We're gonna be talking about those
Yay!
in the following weeks.
We will.
But yeah, we're once again in the lovely Rogue Media Studios.
Mm-hmm.
They take care of us well here.
Make us sound
We
good.
love them. Yes,
That's
to
right.
the whole team. We are on
So many streaming platforms.
all of them.
You
You're listening
can-
to it right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hopefully.
Hopefully. And if you're not, well, fucking please come
Yeah.
and tell your friends. You can find us on the 2 biggest ones being Apple iTunes,
And Spotify.
Spoofy, that's right.
Spoofy.
And you can find us on a host of other things. And you can also find us on exactly one social media platform being Instagram.
At BooBaes Podcast.
That's right.
All one word.
Mm-hmm.
No babes. Just a BAES.
That's right.
And
That's right.
This was
If you're listening also, though, don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe. Word of mouth. Make people join this little cult.
tell them.
Tell them to watch Scream. Tell them to come scream with us.
Yeah. Come scream a thon. And
I think that's all, though. Your first 5. This is a monumental
so
occasion.
exciting. Let's pop the champagne.
Yep. Okay. I want champagne.
There, mimosas?
Let's go.
All right, it's brunch day.
All right, but
yeah. Until next time, bye, bays.
Bye, bays.
This has been a Rogue Media podcast.
Frozen, Frozen, heroes. Gonna tell you about Frozen, Frozen, heroes. Gonna tell you about.
Hey, I'm Zach,
And I'm Mike.
and we have a fantastic new podcast to tell you about. Bros, Foes, and Heroes. It's the 2 of us looking into the world of comics, breaking down some characters that you may have never heard of, and some that are just absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, so Zach comes up with a character each time, and I go into it just completely blind. I don't know who this person is or what their abilities are or anything, and basically I guess we kind of go over their origin story and just some of the ridiculous stuff that maybe, especially Golden Age stuff.
Oh, Golden Age stuff is always the best, and we will make sure to highlight all of the shenanigans and just absolute weirdness of everything.
Yeah, that's right. So subscribe today and follow us on Instagram at Bros Foes Heroes.
And if you don't, I know where you live. Not really, but please subscribe.
Bros and foes and heroes. Gonna tell you about bros and foes and heroes. Gonna tell you about.
Hi, I'm Hank. You might remember me from a show called King of the Hill. Check out a King of the Hill rewatch podcast. These boys ain't rap, but they are funny. Find the podcast anywhere you get your podcasts or at roguemedianetwork.com. I tell you what.